Good evening, Bahrain. I'm Bernadette from Gulf Brands International. This is Wine Online Wednesday. We're on episode 4 and it's Zindependance Day. So tonight we're in California. 4th of July is around the corner, so what better excuse have we got to celebrate with some American wine? American wine, the grapes in American, Californian wine especially, originated, they say, from Bordeaux back in the 1800s. First wine we're going to look at tonight is a Sauvignon Blanc. The Sauvignon Blanc in California was also supposed to have come from the very famous Chateau Yquem in Sauternes in Bordeaux, so that's quite a pedigree to have. Our first wine is Murphy Goode, and it's called the Fumet Sauvignon Blanc. There's an interesting little story about this. The big grapes in California are Chardonnay and Cabernet Sauvignon. Sauvignon Blanc was never really appreciated. That was until Robert Mondavi decided, the godfather of wine in California, that he could do something with Sauvignon Blanc. So he decided to work on a drier style. Now, up until then, most of the Sauvignon Blancs had been a bit weedy. Attempts at fruity wine didn't really work and didn't go down well with wine drinkers. So he decided to vinify a drier style. The first vintage was in 1967, 68, and then by I think vintage 69 he cracked it. The way he did it, he had excellent fruit, very good vines, but he did a little bit of oak aging. Now that was not done at the time. The Sauvignon Blanc was always just in stainless steel, so it was a very fruity wine. Oak aging it very gently, very soft oak, gave it more of a creamy flavour, and it was a huge success. He didn't want to call the wine Sauvignon Blanc because everyone had this association with it being rather mediocre, so he called it Fumet Blanc. Fumet in French means smoke, and Blanc means white, so the smoked white. People think that the smoke in the name has something to do with the flavour, but it doesn't. It comes from, in France, the best area for Sauvignon Blanc is the Loire Valley, where we find lots and lots of varietal wines, and especially Sancerre, that lovely, dry, crisp wine from the Loire Valley. But in that area, there is a morning mist, which is called the Fumet. And this is where he took the name from, because it's just a very gentle awakening in the Sauvignon Blanc. So let's see if it works well with this one. Okay, we'll have a look at the colour. It's a nice deep yellow, but with very clear rim, as you can see, very strawish, very glinty. So let's see what's on the nose. Some flowers. There's apples, but they're yellow apples. They're not green hard apples. They're autumn apples. Yes, yeah, I think so. Autumn apples. Let's see what it tastes like. The apple flavours continue. There's a little hint of citrus, but it's not sharp, it's not very acidic, and it's actually quite mellow, and there's a nice finish. I think there's almost a little nutty almond, not salted almond, like white almond, raw almond in the finish. The creaminess that you feel is from the gentle oak aging that this wine has been through. It's only had about a few months in oak. Yeah, and it just helps to mellow and broaden the taste profile. Just want to mention something that's quite characteristic of Californian wines. So the varietal is called Sauvignon Blanc on the label, but sometimes there are laws that up to 15% of the wine can actually have another grape variety included, but they're not obliged to list it on the label. In this case, there's about 5% of Semillon. Semillon has got a a slightly sweeter and a more supple flavour that it's helping in here. It's very, very gentle. I mean, you wouldn't really notice it. So, yeah, so that's interesting. White, hint of oak. Now we're moving on to our pink wine for the night, and this is White Zinfandel. This is a very much an American wine. It's always associated, and especially with California. This is Woodbridge by Robert Mondavi. So, as I mentioned, the godfather of Californian wine, genius winemaker, produced many, many wonderful wines, and Woodbridge was a range that he was very fond of. So, Zinfandel is a black grape with a very deep red fruit. So this is white Zinfandel. How can you have white Zinfandel? When the grapes are being pressed, they're just squeezed ever so gently. The technique is called saignée, meaning to bleed. So they just let the grapes, remember these are very ripe grapes, so they'll be quite soft. They just let the grapes squeeze a little bit so that the juice runs out and the colour of the skins just starts to bleed, to saignée, into the juice. It can be 8 hours or so, or even less, until they just know they've got the right colour and they've got the right little bit of flavour coming through from it as well. So let's look at the colour. Okay, very pinky, and it's got a darker colour style tone than a lot of the French rosés, Italian rosés. In Spain, you'd have an even deeper rosé colour. So let's see on the nose. I was getting lots of fresh cherries, very juicy. Yes, very, very fruity, very juicy. This is a sweet wine. Yeah, very sweet. But fun. This is a summer wine. It's huge in America, all over the world. One of the most popular wines because people know White Zinfandel. It's fun, it's sweet. You can even pour this over ice because the sweetness of the wine will help when it's chilled with ice. Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely a summer wine. Summer evenings by the pool. And let's move on to the red for this evening. We are with Hidden Crush, Central Coast, and we're looking at a Pinot Noir. As I mentioned earlier, the big grapes in California are Chardonnay and Cabernet Sauvignon. Now, Pinot Noir has also become very important over the years, and typically it's often compared to the French Pinot Noir, Californian Pinot Noir. You find the French Pinot Noir can be a bit more fruit forward, and the Californian can be, again, a bit broader. In this case, Hidden Crush, the fruit comes from Monterey, which is a county right on the coast in California. So it benefits from very cooling breezes, so that the fruit will ripen slowly, and it's a more mature deepening of the flavour coming through in the fruit. Let's see how this goes on the nose. Oh, sorry, first we have to look. So, lovely, lovely deep colour, but it's heading for a brownish, rusty colour. It's not a pink red, yeah. A little tinges of brown around the edges. Okay, on the nose. Warm red fruit. This is ripe red fruit. It's like fruit that's been picked and left at room temperature for a while. It's not fresh from the tree. Plum, some cherry, and at the same time, and this is very typical of the Pinot Noir grape, there's a little bit of greenness in there. There's like a green leaf. It would be like the green leaf of your houseplants. Not a mint, a sage, and not a herbal green leaf at all, just a plain green leaf. Okay, Let's see how it tastes. Dry. It's got a long finish. It's got the cherry notes are coming through again, and it's got very, very gentle tannin, but it's dry. Oh yeah, the fruit is there. It's coming forward, but it's subtle as well. It's very well balanced. Another reason probably in this is that even though this is Pinot Noir, there is about 15% of Syrah in here. Syrah will give it a bit more structure because the Pinot Noir is typically light in character. So this supports it and gives it more structure. So, well, we've got Independence Day at the weekend. What are we going to eat with these wines? I think you can enjoy quite a good range of food. You've got your appetizers, light salads, chicken. Because of the almond and the broadness in this, I think grilled chicken would be great with this. This one, it's for a few glasses before the food, hanging around, maybe with some good music, and strawberry shortcake. Strawberry cheesecake, yeah, that would be good with this. This, yeah, barbecue friendly, grilled meats, even a nice fillet steak, it would go down well. So actually it's not just food that would go well with these wines. I noticed looking at the back of the Fume bottle, like a classic guitar riff, the Fume may be enjoyed on its own, or as the rhythm of a larger ensemble. So, the Fume. That's got to be Californication, Red Hot Chili Peppers, guitar riffs coming through there. Yeah, I think that one goes along very well. White Zinfandel, the Beach Boys, California Girls. Yeah, that's there. And coming to the Pinot Noir. Hotel California, the Eagles. American wine, it's all just rock and roll.